that lonesome whistle blow, for the sound of someone feeling low. Well, the story with this one is it's a 1950 J-200, and it's got the all that shit going off, and it's got the beautiful stinger there. And actually, that was repaired for me by Roger Bucknell at File Guitars. He fixed that because it was there was chips in it and stuff. But apart from that, it's all original. I love the fact that I don't even know what this is. Whoever's watching this might actually figure out what it was. I don't know why there are 4 marks there. And Roger said, actually, I can fix that for you and make it kind of... But I like it being a bit fucked because it's part of his history, you know. But I'm thinking that maybe it was like some kind of elementary pickup thing that made that. That's kind of the obvious thing, but I don't know, really. Maybe someone out there will be able to tell us, you know. But I just like it because Martin Simpson found this for me. Because my dad had a J-200, and it was a 60s one. I think it was 62, something like that. And he basically, during the steel strikes, he had to sell it to feed us. And then there was always this thing in my mind that there was an injustice. And I looked for one for years and years and years. And it's funny because it's part of mine and Martin's story. He just goes, oh, you don't want them Gibsons, they're rubbish. You want one of these, a PRS or a Filed, or these really mental high-end guitars. And I couldn't get on with them at all. They were, I don't know, it's an ergonomic thing, or they just didn't feel right. And maybe I think it's down to sonic memory. So when you play something when you're young, there's a part of your brain that works in a certain way, and it didn't. And that's it. That's all you need to know. But it was from a wonderful guy called Tony Wernicke, and he runs this his business is called Replay Acoustics, and he sells these incredible ancient guitars. And Martin went down and he said he found this, and he just played an E chord, which is, you know, compared to Martin, I'm just a bum, you know. It's just, and that was it. You just feel it, and it's sonic memory, I think, you know. I mean, it is exceptional instrument, but
it's funny what time lends to these instruments, because, as we've said, J-200s, in all honesty, can be quite variable, can't they? And but that is just it really sings, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a curious. I mean, Reverend Gary Davis, he played a J-200 and with extreme skill, and I played. Not that in any way I'm slagging Gibson off, but I've played a lot of modern guitars, and the problem is, I think that once you've played something that's existed on Earth for quite a long time, obviously the word vintage is a weird thing, but when you hold something that's existed on planet Earth for 70 years, whatever, is you can't buy time. Well, you can buy time if you've got the money, but there's very few modern acoustic guitars that I play that just have that thing. And it's not just the I guess they call it the mojo or whatever it is. It isn't that, it's just... And I'll tell you something else about acoustic guitars that I've realised, and Mike Waterson told me this, is that they go to sleep. Because they're made of a natural thing. If you leave an acoustic guitar in a case for a long time, and they kind of go to sleep, like a tree or something. Not some Lord of the Rings, you know. And when you restring it and play it, and they come alive, and there's all these new tones that you find out of it that weren't there when you picked it out of the case. And I think they respond basically to love. to be so obtuse, but I think that they do, you know.
Do you use this often for recording? Or?
I use this when I'm frying eggs. Whatever. It's on the wall, you know. And it's just such a great guitar to play. And they're not the neck's not as slimline as a lot of the modern ones, but it's to do with ergonomics, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
It's a bit like kind of, you know, if you go into a shop and you want to buy a new shirt or a jacket or something like that, don't look in a mirror. Put it on, see how it feels first. You know, and it's the same with any musical instrument. You know, close your eyes and just listen. You were given these by nature for a reason, and you can read all the reviews you want, and you can be fooled into buying something because you think it's going to be this, that, and the other. But you got to use your ears. They're the greatest asset you've got. You know,
it takes a long while to learn that lesson, and I think how many times have we all, you know, certainly when we get into guitar, set our heart on a particular guitar, lusted over it, looked at it in magazines, gone into a shop, and it didn't come alive. But you still go through the motions of buying it because that's what you set out to do.
Yeah, because you think it's going to be the thing that's going to solve whatever solution or problem that you have. Well, look at you. You were playing that, you know, earlier, and we were outside listening to you with and I was thinking, that's your marriage fuck, man. It sounded great when you were playing. It was so good, you know.
Thank you.
And yeah, I think a country club is the way forward for you, you know. I love that, because that sounds like Papa Staples to me.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems with the Gretches, but I've always found it an asset. I love all that stuff. It kind of sounds like Hendrixy, sort of. I mean, I'm not a real guitar player. I shouldn't be here, I guess. But actually, all that stuff with leading with chords, that was all from Curtis Mayfield, because he used to play chords that were rooted in the thirds, you know.
That's magic, isn't it? So tell me about this guitar.
I got this from a local store in Sheffield called Richard Music, and it's run by, or subsequently become friends of mine, James and Dylan Ferguson, and they've always got amazing stuff. And again, actually, I owe Martin Simpson again. He said, Rich, because he's in and out of there all the time, and I'm always on tour or travelling and stuff, and he'll just go, they've got this, such and such, you know. And he called me up, and he said, they got this country club, and it's insane. It's a 1954, you're going to love it. And so I went down with him, and I literally just played a couple of chords on it, and went, I'm done. In my mind, I just was sold, you know. And then I ended up using, I guess, folks, if you want to tune into, it was on the Jules Holland show, and I got asked to play with Robert Plant and Imelda May, actually, and it was the last song of the show at the Hammersmith Apollo thing, when they did it there. And it's quite funny because it wasn't anything that we'd rehearsed. I was playing with Jules doing Fats Domino stuff, which we'd had this idea to play an A and a B side from the same single back to back. So we did that, 2 tunes, and Robert heard me play. I've known Robert on and off for many years, a lovely fella. And they called me over to the piano, and they said, do you want to do a song with us? So it was, you know, nothing to do with management and completely unscripted. And I said, yeah, what is it? And Robert said, we're going to do rock and roll. I said, yeah, what song? And he said, rock and roll. I goes, yeah, I can play rock and roll, but which song? He went, no, you silly fuckwit. Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. And I said, no, I'm not doing it, because I don't want to be in Jimmy Page's graveyard, you know. Nobody can play like Jimmy. He's the don of that. And he says, no, we're going to do it like Johnny Burnett, you know, and the Rock and Roll Trio. I said, okay. So we did it like that, and that was the first time I ever used it. And I'd only bought it a week or so before, and I had that on an old a 50s, I think it's a 260 Magnatone amp, which has got this really, it's not a tremolo, it's a vibrato, which is actually different, and it sounds like liquid. Bo Diddley used them and Eddie Cochran, but it's got this liquid sound to it, like moving water. It's amazing.
That guitar's got so much bass and everything. It's all the warmth you could ever wish for, and it looks brilliant as well. And this is the country club model.
Yeah. And the only thing that's weird about, and they've got this, is it a Melita bridge they're called, aren't they, those? And that takes quite a bit to get used to.
Yeah, just ergonomically.
Yeah, the ergonomic kind of side. But actually, it's an asset, because you can cup your hand over it and not deaden the strings. And, you know, maybe I should fit a roller bridge to it. I'm not really sure. But I just like the way it is. Again, I've got to pay tribute to Rich Tone Music, actually, because I got it from there. And it's really scruffy, it's beat up. It's I think 58, something like that. Late 50s Watkins Scout. It's got a built-in trem that you have to turn the amp on and wait, and when the valves have warmed up, the trem starts working. And I just love the sound of it. It's just a... beautiful. And I've got loads of amps, you know, massive Marshalls and PV rigs and that huge kind of thing. And when you crank that up, it sounds amazing, you know, and put a fuzz pedal or whatever. And I guess it's kind of probably part to do with getting older. I just don't want to be near like really, really, really seriously loud amps, because my hearing, remarkably, is I think still fairly intact. Etc. No, but I think it is, you know, and you can get a lot out of that, you know.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
I just made that up. I have to drink Guinness more often.
Yeah, do it. That's lovely. Yeah, it's got a very sort of intimate sound to it, hasn't it?
It is. It's close. It's not like a big shouter.
No.
like
Not like that one.
the J-200, and yeah, it draws you in. I love it. It's a beautiful thing. Sorry, folks. This was made in 1954. It's a J-160E Gibson. And the thing about these old guitars as well is the weight. That you pick up a modern anything, it's the weight. And it's I guess because they're probably made out of woods that were abandoned now, you know.
And we associate this particular guitar with the Beatles, you know, for obvious reasons. And do you use it with the pickup at all, or is that just
Yeah, plug it in. Yeah, I've used it a few times. I mean, the only reason why I don't tour with it is basically because it's a 1954 thing, you know, and also because of the joys of Brexit. Is you know, you can't really tour with seriously expensive stuff.
No.
Or even moderately so, you know, it's taking a big risk, you know.
Yeah.
Pedalogram from
Hello.
Mr. Hawley.
Look who it is.
This is the most fucking insane thing I've ever,
God, look at
ever.
that.
And that's saying something.
It's absolutely insane.
It looks it.
Don't get into those.
It's Eastern European technology, I think of the late 60s, 70s. I mean, again, I didn't read a thing, I just plugged it in and went... It's more like a de-armand pedal than a wah, you know. Of course.
That'll do.
That's brilliant.
Lots of fun. Trip to the dentist. It's good fun though, isn't it? Right, okay, the story with this, I think it's an early 70s telly. But 3 days into recording the new record, is I got a phone call from my old friend Kathy, who was Scott Walker's manager. And she said, after some years, Scott and I were friends. We used to play darts and sup Guinness together, and there was no discussions of music, it was just darts and Guinness. Occasionally a game of pool, but he was shite at pool, so I'd always hammer him. So he preferred darts because I was crap at darts, and I still am. And anyway, so Lee, his daughter, they decided that, and it was in Scott's, one of his last requests, which was give that tosser Hawley one of my guitars, and this is it. And it arrived 3 days into recording the new record, and I must say it was in quite a parlous state. It had been unplayed, and my guitar tech, long-suffering guitar tech, Gordon White, who is a genius, and Telecasters actually happen to be, I think, his speciality. And the hardest decision was to actually do anything with it at all, because basically there was Scott's blood, there was his essence or physical remnants were on the guitar, and Gordon actually just went, fuck it, you know, he's got to be playable, you know, and he fixed it up and made it a beautiful thing. And it was very, very close to me recording the new record. I recorded all the mad shit on it, and a couple of there's only a few guitar solos on the new record, but I think it's a 70s one. I don't know. You said you were going to help me, Jamie.
No problem.
I guess you can go on Google, but I don't know how reliable these things are, you know. But like you said, it's got the thing there, so it's probably early 70s maybe. But I actually don't give a shit if it was made yesterday. It's... I don't think Scott would mind. I don't think he'd mind too much if I played Bo Diddley on his guitar.
Nah. That's a lovely sounding telly, actually.
It is, it's really beautiful. And I've got a couple of tellies, but this one, not because it's Scott, I wouldn't play it if it wasn't good, you know, but it's just... All guitars, if you believe in the power of what they can create, because it's like I said about Duane, we all had a go on Duane's guitar. It was him that made it sound like that, you know, and nobody else could do that. Nobody. It was him. Even with the same thing, it was to do with him as a human being, you know, and I was going to tell you a funny story. Oh yeah, the funny story about when I first met Scott was I was kind of playing session guitar with Pulp, and we all grew up together, all of us. And Steve, obviously, Mackie, we lost last year, bless him. He and I met on the first day of infant school and stayed friends our whole lives, you know. And anyway, in the last album, Wheel of Life, by that point, I was kind of playing with a band and writing at that stage. Excuse me, I'm just going to turn that bus off.
Yeah, no worries.
And the last album, Wheel of Life, and Scott produced that, which is where we met. And I'd been in, it was a Monday morning, and I'd been in on Sunday with my tech and set all my shit up so that it was ready. Because Scott, I'd been told, was a stickler for time, because he was an old session player and he really knew his shit big time, you know. And you had to be there at a specific time. And obviously, being musicians, we were starting work at the crack of noon. And but next door to the studio was a record shop. And I saw this sign, it was like, last day, closing down, everything must go. And so I saw it, and in the window there was all these Gene Vincent EPs and Fats Domino and Jerry Lee Lewis, all the stuff that I really love, lots of doo-wop and gospel stuff. And so anyway, I dived in there, and it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I dived in, it was like supermarket sweep, you know, to try to hoover up as much as, oh wow, you know, all this stuff. Anyway, I ended up with this massive pile of records, and I looked at the clock and I thought, oh shit, I'm going to be late. So I turned up the studio and it was like 12:20 and I was late. And Scott was at the mixing desk with his baseball cap pulled down, and Jarvis was there, and I think Steve and Nick, and Scott just went, "You're late." I was like, this ain't going to go well. This is not going to go well. So I put these records, struggling with all this pile of records. They weren't even in bags. I literally just put these things down. And actually, this sums Scott up, how his mood, which never changed actually towards me from that moment on, was Jarvis said, he just goes, "Oh, why are you late?" Because I've been buying these fucking records, man. There's a record store next door, and you know, and he's, oh wow, and we're all like looking at that, and then Scott kind of just went, "Okay, let's look at what you got," and then he went through. And he went, "Oh, wow." And his face and his mind, you could just see, just brightened up. And he goes, "I played bass on that, man." And he said, "Hey, Richard, do you want to shake Eddie Cochran's hand? I played with Eddie when I was 14 years old, like that. Do you want to shake Eddie Cochran's hand?" Through me and Scott Walker. There you go. and that's the true story. And his mood changed, and he realised I cared about music and all like that. And anyway, we did this track on the album called Bob Lind, where I had to play 12-string guitar, acoustic 12-string guitar. Jesus, he whipped me like a racehorse, I'll tell you, and I had to do it again. He's going, bite in, play deeper, like really dig in. And my fingers at the end of that session literally bled.
Yeah. But
the end results were great, you know, I think. And I learned a lot from Scott, especially about microphones. I remember being there when he got all these old Neumann microphones, and he literally just went bar black sheep into each one, and he went, "That one," and they were all plugged in. You could hear it in the control room, and you just went, "God, of course, that's totally different from that." And his ears were immense. Like you could hear subtle inflections in the sonic quality of microphones or guitars or whatever it was, and his sonic palette was so expansive.
yeah.
And I'm not really a musician. I just collect sound. You know, that's what I do. And I think Scott got that. And he was still shit at pool though. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.